Welcome back to Module 5, Working Safe with Asbestos. For years, asbestos was considered a miracle mineral. It was used because it's fireproof and resistant to acid and corrosion. Asbestos fibers are so tiny you need a microscope to see them. And you can inhale them without knowing it. No matter if they're in the air or on your clothes. As we've already seen, asbestos can cause serious lung and breathing diseases which can take as long as 15 to 35 years to show up. Smokers who are exposed to asbestos are as much as 90 times more likely to get certain lung diseases than non-smokers. Today, a great deal is known about the health hazards that result from overexposure to asbestos. It is very important for your health to work safely with asbestos. ACM is the acronym for asbestos-containing materials. The Environmental Protection Agency defines ACM as any material containing more than 1% asbestos as determined using the method specified in Appendix A, Subpart F, 40 CFR Part 763, Section 1, Polarized Light Microscopy, PLM. Friable asbestos-containing material is any material containing more than 1% asbestos that, when dry, can be crumbled, pulverized, or reduced to powder by hand pressure. Non-friable ACM is any material containing more than 1% asbestos that, when dry, cannot be crumbled, pulverized, or reduced to powder by hand pressure. The EPA also defines two categories of non-friable ACM, Category 1 and Category 2 non-friable ACM. Category 1, non-friable ACM is any asbestos-containing packing, gasket, resilient floor covering, or asphalt roofing product, which contains more than 1% asbestos. Category 1 non-friable ACM must be inspected and tested for friability if it's in poor condition. Asbestos-containing packing, gaskets, resilient floor coverings and asphalt roofing materials must be removed before demolition only if they are in poor condition and are friable. Category 2 non-friable ACM such as cement siding, transite board, and shingles that are subjected to intense weather conditions, like thunderstorms and wind, or prolonged exposure to high heat and humidity, may become weathered to a point where they become friable. Although the use of asbestos in thermal surfacing and fire-proofing materials was banned in 1973, buildings constructed as late as 1980 have been found to contain asbestos building materials. In several old buildings, it may have already been determined that materials, indeed, contain asbestos. In these cases, the materials may be labeled to warn workers. Asbestos-containing materials that can be reduced to powder by hand pressure are considered friable. Some non-friable materials may actually become friable if they are cut, drilled, or damaged by water. Friable materials are more likely to release fibers into the air, where they can be a source of exposure to you. The presence of asbestos in a building doesn't necessarily mean the building occupants are endangered. As long as asbestos-containing materials remain in good condition, exposure is unlikely. When building maintenance, repair, renovation, or other activities disturb or damage ACM, asbestos fibers creating a potential hazard to building occupants. Some asbestos fibers can take up to 80 hours to settle. An airborne asbestos fiber can move laterally with air currents and contaminate spaces distant from the point of release. The next few screens will describe different ways of fiber release. Fallout comes from old, deteriorated asbestos fibers that become airborne due to damage or destruction of the bonding agents used to hold the asbestos product together. Fallout may result in fibers being deposited on horizontal surfaces over time due to humidity, vibration, or aging. Contact is when striking, cutting, and drilling, as example, releases fibers into the environment. Air erosion is also a form of contact and may release fibers to the environment from damaged or exposed material. Reentrainment means that while doing tasks such as sweeping, dusting, or unfiltered vacuuming of settled dust, there is a danger that asbestos fibers may get resuspended into the atmosphere. When ACM degrades or is damaged, it may release asbestos in the air. To avoid exposure, pay attention to the following. Avoid touching or disturbing ACM on ceilings, pipes, or boilers. Don't drill, sand, or scrape materials that contain ACM. Don't clean material that appears to contain asbestos. Contact your supervisor immediately to arrange proper cleaning of material you suspect to contain asbestos. Asbestos cleanup should only be done with a HEPA vacuum or wet methods, and by properly trained personnel. During floor care, the following practices are recommended. Never sand or scrape asphalt or vinyl flooring containing asbestos. Always strip floors using wet methods and the lowest abrasion pads possible. Always use speeds less than 300 revolutions per minute. Dry buff asbestos-containing flooring only if it has enough finish that the pad cannot contact the asbestos-containing material. Don't dust, dry sweep or vacuum in an area containing damaged thermal asbestos insulation, surfacing, or deteriorated ACM. Use only wet methods or HEPA-filtered vacuums. Only one more module to go. Take the Module 5 quiz and we'll wrap it up in Module 6.